having a hearing on this Friday morning.
Right.
I wish I could get a grantee to come to that one. And we're going to discuss the draft legislation. So what we've seen so far, and you're right, I think they are still in the process of finalizing the language. I don't think really changes our practice much at all. I mean, basically it makes clear that if a project is terminated or de-obligated, the money has to go back to the Treasury promptly. We're already operating under that rule. What it also puts in place is a little more process where if, in our case, our Inspector General brings us statements that a project is engaging in waste, fraud, and abuse, we have to respond to those in 30 days and take action promptly in response to any findings that an IG may make in that regard. Again, that I think is perfectly appropriate practice. The likelihood that an IG would bring something to us that we weren't already aware of and hadn't already been talking to them about is pretty slim. We would have a pretty good sense, I think, and be working as closely as we can with a grantee to fix any issues long before they get to a stage where we are faced with the kind of information from the IG that would trigger an obligation on our part to take the money away. We've lost 2 projects so far since we completed the funding at the end of September. In both cases, it was the grantee who chose to step back. It would have been great. We could have tried to salvage both of them. We worked very hard with the grantees in both of those cases to try to rescue the project. But the good news is that while we lost the projects, is that because of the oversight we're doing, we were able to identify their issues early enough that they could figure out what they wanted to do before they had spent much, if any, federal dollars, which is important here. I mean, we don't want to be spending dollars on projects that aren't going to succeed. Unfortunately, the way the law is currently written and would be reaffirmed by the legislation that is being discussed in the House Energy and Commerce Committee is that we can't reuse those dollars. We can't put them to work in other parts of the country. We have to return the dollars to the Treasury for deficit reduction. But that's the law we're currently operating under, and that wouldn't change under this new law.
And that's what happened with those 2 projects?
Yes.
So the funds were returned?